Global Indian Network. Print, TV, events, podcasts. Find out more at globalindianseries.com.
They are just getting rid of the dead bodies right now. There is no any spirituality left in the process now. As of now, if we talk about dead bodies are being treated like dead bodies of animals. The way we dump dead bodies of animals, we are dumping the dead bodies of human beings now.
Welcome back to the Global Indian Podcast, the official platform for people of Indian origin. Yes, let's face it, we are everywhere. Welcome back to your weekly show where we plunge into the human experience of being a person of Indian origin, take a second look at the countries we now call home, and tackle the big conversations. Now, in this episode, it is a remarkable one. We meet with a journalist on the ground in India. For obviously their own benefit, we have kept their name anonymous and removed any personal details about them. This is a remarkable conversation because look, let's face it, wherever we are in the globe right now, everyone's minds and hearts are towards India, especially having a look at the developing COVID crisis. Furthermore, we know right now there's also the world's largest protest taking place. So there's a lot of things happening all at once. The question is, what's it truly like to be there, and what are the true stories that we as a general public need to know more about? And that's what we discuss here. It is a very open, frank and candid conversation that you need to know. As always, I'd like to say a dear thank you to our supporters and sponsors out there, many of which you'll hear from soon. If you like what we do and you want to get involved, it couldn't be easier. Simply go to our website, which is www.globalindianseries.com, where you can see this episode and the entire repertoire of conversations so far from across the globe. I really hope you enjoy this session, and if you do like it, please consider sharing and subscribing, because with your help we get to grow. And I think more importantly, this discussion needs to enter the public sphere even more so.
Hi, my name is Divya and I'm co-founder of the Global Indian Podcast. Before you get to today's show, I've got a quick favour to ask. If you've been enjoying our conversations, I'd love if you could take just 1 minute to leave us a review on the platform that you're listening to us on and share our work to friends and family. It helps us out a lot. Word of mouth is the primary way that we grow. Thanks for your continued support.
Hello. My name is Ann Daata, and I'm Dean of Nova School of Business and Economics in Carcavelos, Portugal, one of Europe's leading business schools. I'm proud to be of Indian origin, and I invite you to discover these podcasts, which will look to redefine the impact that Indians and their descendants are doing all over the world. In behalf of Nova School of Business and Economics, I wish you a great 2021.
My name is Chitra Stern, and I am a proud Global Indian Ambassador and CEO of Martinal Resorts and Martinal Residences. We pride ourselves on the journeys that define a community, and our developments bring people together. Did you know that over 70,000 people just like us call Portugal home? The Global Indian journey has brought people together in a meaningful way, and on behalf of all of us at Martinal, we want to thank you for joining us in these remarkable conversations. We look forward to seeing you here in Lisbon post-COVID. Have a great day.
And just move. Get up 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 and just.
For your own personal protection and for the integrity of the work that you do, I'll be calling you Ann Daata, the same as your Instagram handle. And we've known each other for quite a while. I think there's been mutual support on both sides. And the reason why I thought that this podcast in particular was really important right now is because of exactly where India is heading towards. Now, obviously, we plunge into the human experience of being a person of Indian origin that takes us across the whole globe. But also that does include India as a nation, because there's people just like us there. But at this moment in time where we see things such as the farmers' protests, we see things as the COVID issues taking part of India, with over now 300,000 cases and more taking place every single day, with, in want for a better word, shambles in regards to how hospitals are being able to deal with things. your voice is probably as vital as ever because you're on the ground, you're a journalist, you're somebody with integrity that can tell us exactly what it's like to be there. So first and foremost, thank you for coming on. And yeah,
Thank you.
what's it like to be you? What's it like to be you right now in India?
India is going through some kind of crisis. We can see that. It's kind of undeclared medical emergency right now. The pandemic has rendered us, clueless. It has exposed our medical system, our hospitals, the kind of facilities, the technology we have right now. Initially, our prime minister have managed things very efficiently. Initially he initiated the lockdown thing, and he took the other norms. He did it right. Everything was quite right initially, but somehow we Indians have a different kind of mindset. I'll say negative mindset. We are very uh, irresponsible when it comes to our responsibility towards the society, and somehow our political leadership have failed us. So right now we are in a very pathetic state. We don't have oxygen for people who are suffering breathless, and we don't have hospital beds for the people. And yeah, we are in a very bad state. The news is all around. It is all over social media. The visuals can really be disturbing sometimes. People are being incriminated, like cremation grounds are full of dead bodies, and I don't think that things can
They're almost because
be.
they're public cremations, isn't it? Now there's
Yeah,
that's
it's
that area where we used to have some form of salutations for that the last rites that was much more spiritual in nature has now turned almost into this commodity like state. It's one funeral
yeah,
and the next
it's
one that goes literally on top.
there is no spiritual thing over there. They are just getting rid of the dead bodies right now. There is no any spirituality left in the uh, process now. As of now, if we talk about dead bodies, are being treated like dead bodies of animals. The way we dump dead bodies of animals, we are dumping the dead bodies of human beings now. We Because of this corona thing. So we hope for a better days in next month, when the country will start a national vaccination program for all the people of above 18 years of age, and it will be vaccinating whole of the country. So we hope a little better, and I think the people also need to keep this in concern, because we are very irresponsible people in India. I think somehow we are also responsible for our own condition. Like, we don't wear mask, we go for social gatherings. Indian marriages, how big Indian
Yeah.
marriages are, aggregate of 2,000, 3,000 people. They all have contributed, right? And recently, you might have seen the news that every second person in Kolkata is COVID positive now.
Yeah.
This is the result of this political rallies that have been the political drama that have been taking place since last 2 months, 3 months. This, we see the result now. Every second person is COVID positive
Do
there.
you feel that the politics of voting took precedent over that of social custodianship? Because it felt like for a lot of people outside in the same fraternity that as soon as it came down to cast your vote, COVID almost miraculously disappeared. But then obviously we pay the consequence of that. Or is that just me being too negative? Like, you're on the ground. What was it like for you guys? How do you feel?
No, it's not being negative. It's being a little pragmatic. Political rallies could have been avoided. Elections could have been, delayed. There are provision in our constitution that you can have presidential rule for a while, and these things could have been avoided. Things could have been controlled. Like I said, Prime Minister took precautions initially when this COVID thing entered in India in year 2020, but later on, he is also Indian, so he is, irresponsible. He just did not bother at all when the elections came. He is a BJP member. When the elections came, he became just a BJP member. All he cared about is like participating in the elections and just winning elections. So things could have been better. I'm repeating it again. Had he been a little bit, concerned about the country, had he been, take a look at the infrastructure, he could have, he had time. India is a big country. 140 crore people are living in India. It's not very easy. I do accept that it's not a very easy job, to handle 140 crore of people in India. My mother used to give an example that a man cannot, handle his family, and this man has a responsibility to handle
1.4 billion people. Yeah.
people. So there is a big responsibility, but I say he had time. He had a time of 1 year. He could have, managed things like really develop this infrastructure. Last year only, our infrastructure was, exposed. We were, caught bare hands. We did not have medical facilities last year only. So he had seen things. He's a prime minister. He knew that he has intelligence. He has, advisory body that would have advised him that things may go worse next year, or with a second wave, there is a probability of even third wave, and so blah, 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 and lot many things. So he had time. He could have, managed things.
Well, prior to COVID, then, because it's interesting for me, prior to COVID, what were your opinions of your government in India? And then has it dramatically changed since COVID? Because it's not just COVID we're talking about. Also, you've had remarkable protests. Yeah, you've had protests that are there that are hugely significant in my mind, because I think it's a cause of celebration in India to have a look at actually this is the power of people. It's not a case that we vote for a government and that government stands a social custodianship of 1.4 billion individuals, or they own the flag of India, but it's more so is a people who represent the flag of India who took to the streets to say, I deserve a better India. So prior to COVID, what were your opinions of the current administration? Bearing in mind also, we have to be careful of going down the political lines, because every politician, regardless of what party, has somehow managed to screw things up for countries, whether it is India or whether it is...
few things were like moving in good direction, and certain things were not moving in a good direction. We can talk precisely about this farm protest. Why this farm protest is all over the news media, and why there are millions of farmers on the roads right now. India is going through a farm crisis. There is not any single issue, a single problem. It's a collaboration of a lot many problems that India is going through right now. Farmers are facing a lot many problems. I would not deny the fact that Narendra Modi government has taken some, good steps for the development of the farmers. Like one of the major thing is DBT, direct bank transfer.
Yeah.
Earlier, cash flow was through the hands of the middleman. This is very important and very, drastic in a very good way that he, adopted this thing. Right now, the farmers can get money directly into their bank. He is cutting the corruption. But on the other hand, he is a capitalist mindset. And I think capitalism in India won't work in agriculture. India is a big country, like 50% population is involved in agriculture. You cannot subject people to come out of agriculture, or you cannot expect people to, adopt modernization. You need a very rigorous and very thorough process to teach people. Okay, let me make here a very, surprising statement for you. These laws are not as bad as they appear. But 10 years down the line, right now the farmers are not educated farmers. That is our concern. Exploitation is our concern. Farmers will be exploited, are being exploited right now, has been exploited. because they are uneducated. That is the concern. All these laws are, good for the people who are good at education, who know things, who can talk things, who can, exploit the
Economics
resources.
behind it, yeah.
Economics. I know people who have given their bank job or this investment banking job in England and have started farming in Rajasthan. I know certain people who are making 10 million a year. 10 million is 1 crore in Indian currency a year. That's a huge amount in India. That too in farming, and that is beyond imagination. Like, how can a farmer make that amount of money? But they are educated people. There are a lot many IITians who are, giving up their corporate jobs or IT sector jobs and, opting farming as their profession, and they are making lakhs of rupees every year, but only because they have education and they can do it. Now, let me give you a basic example. Like, you are not living in India, I'm living in India, so I can, figure this. I come from a rural background. I know people, how their behavior is. The government is offering a KCC, that is Kisan Credit Card. The government will offer you a loan. Okay, so what the bank has to give the loan. You have to approach, being a farmer, you have to approach a bank. But the farmer in India are so uneducated and so afraid of the administration and the paperwork that they're ready to give you a bribe of 10%, 5%, 2%, 20% in order to get that loan. Now, just imagine a person who cannot avail a loan on his land without giving a bribe. How will he be able to, do contract farming with big giant corporates of 10,000 crores? How will he deal with them? How will he understand the patent rights and all those things, GMO seeds, patent violations, and blah, 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 not many things. Even our, political leaders are not talking about these concerns. Like in Canada and in America, we have a lot of cases of patent violations. Like, you cannot use the seeds which have been given to you by the company. Next year, your contract is over. Now, if you have any seeds left, you cannot use them on for your own purpose or without.
Yeah.
So even the farmer leaders are not talking about this. So there are a lot many concerns regarding this. So farmer need a basic income, an insured income, which can only be ensured through this MSP thing, minimum support price. At least you gave them a minimum price for their produce. You cannot subject the farmers to market forces. Had there been a very minuscule population involved in this agriculture thing, there would not have been any problem. The government would have handled the things. 50% population is dependent on agriculture, and you are subjecting them to market forces. Assume that there is a crisis, there's a crash in prices. Now the 50% of population shall be in debt.
Yeah.
So I think it is very irresponsible on the part of the government to take such steps in this direction.
I was going to say, I think there's more though, because we live in a world where we place a great reliance on the integrity of those who wish to lead. So therefore, that integrity is then pressed when certain laws are pushed through without public consultation. I think that's why people are feeling the pinch of it. And then to make it worse, do you feel that the media then, the way that they've kind of portrayed the farmers, has almost added fuel to the fire?
That is very pathetic. That is very pathetic on the part of this Indian media. They have declared themselves as very, I don't know what word to use for Indian media. I don't know.
I think the Indian media, in want for a better word, they have declared themselves as the moral custodians of India. Yet everything that they're doing is pretty much illegal because it's slander to the biggest degree. You're turning around to a farmer who, okay, yes, let's say on the education level, may not be highly educated in terms of our mindset now, in terms of what we have access to, but they know how to work the land. So therefore, their education is what fits them.
The problem is, I would quote a sentence here of one of the great agri economist, Devinder Sharma. He lived in Chhattisgarh. So he says that in India and in the rest of the world, everybody will tell a farmer how to do the farming. That is the problem.
But nobody would actually do the farming apart from the farmer. It's true. Yeah, absolutely right.
farmer has been doing it since he was 5 or 10 years of age.
Yeah.
And he's 50 now. And everybody, big corporate wearing Gucci and Armanis will tell a farmer that how to do farming. He won't offer him the price, but rather he will tell you, it's like advising a doctor how to do a surgery.
Yeah.
So that's the worst part.
But then with the Indian media has obviously taken a certain stance for this, for their own financial model. Sensationalism sells advertising, right? But what are the dangers that has caused in your own experience of being on the ground, of how these farmers are being reacted to?
No, labeling farmers as terrorists. Initially, they labeled the farmers as terrorists. If somebody is asking for his, his basic rights, if somebody is asking that he must get at least the price for his produce, you are labeling them as terrorists. Then the people from Punjab were labeled as Khalistanis. I don't understand this thing. They have came to Delhi to, for a statute that we should be given MSP. You make a legal statute for it. You make a law for it and repeal the laws. I don't know from where will from where this argument came that they are Khalistanis. I mean, I don't connect these two things. The demands are completely regarding the laws only.
Yeah.
How can you connect them with Khalistan? I don't understand this logic that they are Khalistanis. If you are making a label, it has to be, evidence based. People have reached Delhi just to, repeal the laws and make a law for the MSP. We need MSP as a law. That's it. That's their demand is. I don't know from where all these arguments are coming that Khalistanis, terrorists, blah, blah, foreign funding and all that. Okay, let me tell you, people are arranging things for themselves. People from Haryana, farmers from Haryana are arranging food materials and many different things like things of daily use, like vegetables, milk products. They are collectively asking people to donate. They put it on a vehicle and just they are sending it to the borders.
They've actually created their own economic model that works.
I don't know from where this foreign funding thing and blah blah and what's this.
But then on the same token, you've got, I think that there's a certain charity that we don't have to name the name of, but they were branded as being Khalistani terrorists, and now they're the ones that are bringing oxygen tanks into those hospitals to help with Indian citizens. So then you're obviously at the cusp of this because you're seeing this on the ground. You're in this very fortunate position because you get to see things from both the media's perspective and the reality on the ground. And then you got a platform that's on Instagram that's now got, I think, close to around 30,000 people that are following, that are actually learning the truth. So then when you see that, how do you feel? The fact that this charity is actually providing oxygen tanks, but at the same token, everything else.
Nobody has a problem unless you start, until you start asking for your rights. Until you just keep on doing social services. Nobody will, praise you. Some people will praise you. People will ignore you. But the moment you will ask for your rights, you'll be a terrorist. You'll be an anti-social element. That has been the scenario in India. I think this applies to the whole world. I think we can see that. But the Sikh community has been, instrumental in this protest, in any of the natural calamities, and even in this pandemic. A picture being got viral. 2 Sikh boys were carrying oxygen cylinders on their shoulder. They are serving night and day. They are paying this price of the cylinders from their own pockets, but nobody is praising them for this thing. But they were asking for their rights, for their MSP. They were labeled as Khalistanis. The media has completely left their job. They are working as a as a servant to the government. They are not anymore a fourth pillar of democracy. No, they are not anymore. They are just an advertisement agency for the government. This might be look as a criticism, but I think this is the truth. Instagrammers, people from Twitter, people from, Facebook pages and accounts from many different social media are telling the news to the people. And what the media is showing you is what Pakistan will do, how India defeated Pakistan, and this, baseless
Yeah.
argument. So,
But you're
media,
you're in that group of the next generation of India, because you're coming to that cusp of it, and so therefore everything you're seeing ultimately you'll be inheriting. And if you have children or your future generations, what is the India that you want to see on your side?
I want to see a tolerant India. There has been a religious intolerance among the Indians as of now. I see, a tussle between the two communities. It's very evident if there are multiple communities or multiple sects of people, multiple communities are living, there will be some kind of tussle between them. But that tussle has gone to a different level as of now. I want to see a peaceful India where, people treat other communities with the same respect. Don't see them with a, hatred. They accept the fact that, yes, we are culturally rich country. I want to see it. And most importantly, I'm working for the farmers cause. So I would say that I would like to see a country where farmers and laborers are given their basic rights. It's time the educated people start speaking for the farmers, because they cannot, although they are speaking for themselves, right now they are on the roads. It's 45 degree, 40 degree on a road. They are for their rights. They are speaking for their rights. But I think it is the job of the educated people to represent them, legally. Doctors should come forward and help the laborers and the farmers. Engineers should come and represent them. Independent journalists should do their work for the farmers. Like people, lawyers should come and work for them. I think it's time India need to fight for all those people who have been working constantly, without feeding their own children. They have been feeding this country. I think it's time India need to think about them. This kind of protest have never taken place ever in history of the world.
That's the
Now this is the biggest protest. Look at the number of people sitting there.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the protest, the politics of America brought the whole world to a standstill. Now we've got the world's largest protests, and almost the silence is deafening. We didn't hear any international media outcry. Nobody really spoke about it. It's almost like a blip in the ocean. And, it's been turned into a Punjabi issue or a Sikh issue or any type of thing, but it's not. This is actually
this is
common
the farmer
person.
issue.
That's it. Yeah. It's a common person on the ground saying, this is the India that I wish to see. And therefore, then I'm using my democracy of the India that I wish to be part of to say we need to change, and we need to change for the better for all of us, not just for my community, but for the whole. And what you're saying is very clear as well. Look, we also have to look when India is not in the same leagues as a country like Canada when it comes to agricultural reforms at this moment in time. But neither is it far behind anything else. It has the ability, but you have to deal with what you have. If you've got people used to doing something for over 50 years and they're marginalized by society, they've never really been given the support needed to be able to grow or have the financial investments then looking at the economic models to help educate them, but rather they've been used as products to push a certain seed and plant to the ground. What else do you expect to happen? And now overnight, you're looking to change a legal system without public consultation. And this isn't against a particular government, but I suppose it's a lesson to be learnt of governance, of if you wish to lead, therefore you have to be leading with the will of the people, not enforcing a different
fragment. I would like to, add a little thing. This is basically a norm that that if there are very less number of people in the primary sector, the country is developing country. This is a basic mindset that we are taught in our academics. That the number of people in the secondary and tertiary sector, the country is a developing country. But when we talk about India, majority of the people are working in the primary sector. So the basic, it's not about only BJP. It applies to each and every government. This has been an effort by the Congress government, by the BJP government, and every other government to, subject the people to come out of the primary sector and, ask them to, migration into secondary or tertiary sector. But that is not possible without you creating jobs in the secondary and the tertiary sector.
Absolutely.
There is a statement by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is, think tank of this government, if you know about it. So this is basically a statement by Niti Aayog. As of now, the farmers are living farming at the rate of 1.8% annually. That is roughly 2,200. That is 2,200 farmers a day. These number of farmers are living farming every day. So the basic idea of the government, BJP and Congress, this is not only about BJP. So the basic idea is to increase the rate. They want the people to come out of agriculture, and this is a good thing. I'm not denying that this is a bad thing, that they are asking people to, come out and work something else and do something more productive, So, but the problem is, if you are not creating jobs in the secondary and the tertiary sector, you will render those people as jobless. Introducing big machineries into agriculture will render a lot of people in India jobless.
And also it creates an income divide, because the reality is the vast majority of farmers are, let's say, cooperative model. They're small scale farmers. They may have an acre, 2-3 acres at a time, buying a large
85%.
It's
85%.
Yeah, it's
85
huge.
farmers are small farmers.
And
it's a huge number.
So then when you look at the economics of it, even though the aspirations are there, the economics won't allow it to exist without certain segments of the population being undervalued. And the problem is, in India's case, can you really afford to put 50% of your population thrown off because of an economic surplus? It's impossible to do that.
It's okay. I'll suggest a few things. I think in case our conversation reaches out to government, so I'll input some good things, positive steps, or the possible solutions. There are certain states in India which are offering MSP for certain commodities that include fruits and crops. Okay. This year they are having for 5 commodities. Next year they will do it for another 5 commodities. They are rotating it. The Indian government is offering MSP for 23 commodities. They are actually not offering. They are giving a base price that is to be kept in mind, and they are actually offering. People are actually getting for 2 commodities, that is wheat and rice, and that too in Punjab and Haryana. That's why majority of the protesters initially came from Punjab and Haryana, because they are the one who will get exploited. So what the government can do is, rather than giving MSP for all the 23 commodities, they can begin with with 4 or 5 commodities, and they do not have to procure each and every grain out from the people. Let the private players buy it, but through mandis, so that they can ensure MSP. They can invite the private players in mandis. They can procure it from there, and next year they can switch off the crops. Means if this year we are getting MSP for wheat and rice, next year we can get it for pulses and sugarcane,
which allows it to diversify. But then how do you pick? Because the toughest thing, I think the reality is, we can all be, not that we are, but we can be sofa coaches, because sitting on the sidelines and watching is one thing, but as a government, it's actually a really tough choice to make. But you can't have policy paralysis, what we've seen so far, because they need to start somewhere. Along with those recommendations, this is where I find it very interesting when you combine the two, the farmers' protests and COVID. So now you got COVID that is running rife across Delhi and in parts of India. And you've obviously got these farmers that are fighting for what they perceive to be their rights, and they've got every reason to do that. What do you feel is the government's response to them to assist, obviously, because they have a social custodianship for those who are also demonstrating in regards to COVID. What's the mood like on the ground for those farmers? Is there a fear of COVID?
Okay, let's first talk about the mindset of the people who are sitting there. So in one of the posts, I have mentioned about, uh, about the people who are actually sitting there. You will
Yeah.
see, okay, you will see a lot of people who will you come to limelight, come for this camera,
Yeah.
who will become the hero, and they'll go. Okay, but I have been there, so I know the kind of people who are sitting here. Each and every farmer in India is under some loan. They have taken it from the formal source, or they have taken it from the informal source. So all those farmers who are there on at the borders, they are under certain loan. So right now they are not concerned about COVID or anything else, to be honest, frankly speaking. Even if
Yeah.
there is a imminent threat, it is an imminent threat, but they are concerned about their generations to come. They are in a hope that something will happen. They will get an insured MSP, and their generations which will come, they may get a prosperous life. They may not have to see the struggle that they have seen. So right now, this is their mindset. Like, they are not afraid of death.
Because they're
They
doing
are.
this for their future generations. And the reality is the consequences of this not changing is far worse than catching COVID for them. They're saying it's not only just their children, but their children's children will be under extreme debt, but also poverty. And I think that's something that the audience need to recognize, that although I think some aspects of the Indian media, and I shouldn't just say Indian media, I think some aspects of the media have
Mhm.
painted out a very negative image of the farmers and saying that they've been careless during COVID. I think the stark
Mhm.
reality is that they have little but no choice but just stay there, because the consequences
It's
are
it,
far dire.
it's they are. I just told you, they are not afraid of it because they don't see an alternative. Death is inevitable for them, and they are ready to die. You know, to die of the poverty, to die of the hunger is equivalent to die of a crisis, of a
Yeah.
disease. Yeah. So I think the government can do a lot many things. They have the majority. The government is till year 2024. As of now, okay, let me tell you one of the interesting fact about MSP and the law in India. In India or in any part of the world, we have laws for everything. We have laws for rape, we have laws for murder, we have laws for dacoity and theft and blah blah blah. We have so many laws, but still there are rapes in India. Still there are um, murder in India. I don't know why the government is so afraid of what they are afraid of. Imagine, I'm a farmer. 85% of the farmers in India are small farmers. I'm holding 1 acre of the land. In 6 months, like, this is a time where the wheat is being harvested. So the average what we pick out from the 1 acre of the land is 50,000. This will be the amount of the crop that I'll be procuring from 1 acre of the land. Now imagine the MSP is some around 2,000 rupees. Okay, and I'm being offered 1,800. Or just imagine I'm offered 1,000 rupees rather than uh, 2,000 or 1,500. I'm a farmer. I have, the 50,000 is my income of 6 months. Do you think that I will be able to pay the litigation fee? If I'm offered 10,000 or 5,000 less than what I'm actually ought to receive, will I afford to, file a case in the court? Imagine a scenario where law has been made regarding the MSP. Now, to not give this MSP will invite, penal provisions or fine or, jail. I'm a small farmer. I'm afraid to go in the office of SP. I'm not able to, take loan from the bank. Will I dare to, go in the court and
So you're
spend five,
saying
10?
if you look at the bigger image of things, you got laws that's supposed to prevent certain things from happening, yet they happen. So therefore, in this case, you're saying in your
Even
mind, you can't
implement,
acknowledge why the government just wouldn't just say, let me reverse the laws, because evidently the laws in India does not prevent bad things from happening.
Implementation. There has to be another fight or another struggle regarding the implementation of the laws, and that will take years and years. I don't know what the government is afraid of. Even implementing MSP won't change much of the things.
Is this about, in your opinion, do you think it's actually about the economics, or do you think it's the politics?
Okay, it's a very harsh statement to make, but right now it is about the image of the Modi. Inevitable Modi. So the government is not taking the laws back because it will be detrimental to the image of Modi's. It is not about the economic model. It is about the image of the Modi that is the government is concerned about.
But which is surprised, because I would have thought it would do everything to enhance his image. The fact that he looked at this, he realized that the people have spoken, the very people that voted, and that he is a custodian of, that they've spoken. And he says, actually, do you know what? I need to do what is right for my country. And therefore, if the people have overwhelmingly objected to this, then I'm going to be a custodian for that. I don't know. I see that as being a much more of a human approach, that people will say, actually, he stood on the right side of history.
See, he has a capitalist mindset. As I told you, he thinks that corporations will come and invest in India, and he will change the lives of the people. I think his advisory is such and consists such people that are advising him that this economic model, which he wants to introduce, that corporations will come, invest in agriculture, and he will change, lives of the people completely. Initially, this could have been his idea, but right now he has seen the opposition of the people, that people are not happy with the laws. But so he could have, taken the laws back or repealed the laws. But now the concern has changed completely. Now the concern is regarding his image, inevitable Modi. He was a different man altogether in year 2014 and prior to it. And look at his tweets on Twitter, the kind of statements he used to make when he was a CM in one of the state. And look at his statement he's making right now and the kind of decision he is taking. So we expected a little better.
I know it's a personal question, and if you feel that you can't answer, I totally get it. But seeing where India's heading right now, would you feel comfortable voting in 2024? Do you feel it will make a difference?
that is completely, I don't know. I'll choose a better MP. I don't know who will be sitting at the center, but I'll choose a better MP for my area. I'll vote for my MP, good MP. I think everyone should do it. Everyone.
Do you think that's going to be changing in India? Do you think a lot of people now will place a great reliance on the local governance to see what do people actually achieve rather than what they promise?
We cannot say anything about it, but politics in India is quite,
it's the same dramatic across the whole globe, isn't it? It's
You never know what people want. I think weak leadership of Congress has been a major factor that Modi came again in power in 2019. People don't see Rahul Gandhi as a lead. People are not ready to accept him as a lead.
He's jumping in the water with fishermen. He's showcasing his six-pack. What more do you need than that? It's
I don't know, but people are not ready to accept him as a lead. Rahul Gandhi is a good man. He's an innocent man. I see him as an innocent man. Modi is more of, he has a charm without a denial. He's popular. He has a charm. How to, tame a crowd. He can engage a crowd of 2-3 lakh people. That's a God. Not everyone has that to, charm a crowd of 2-3 lakh people. And that's what Modi have been doing. And people have been paying the prices for it.
I love to continue the voyage with you. I know the work that you guys have been doing on Instagram has been absolutely incredible. And more so, it's actually been a vital platform for people to know what the truth is. Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And I think on both sides, a lot of people are capitalizing on the brutality of both the farmers' protest and that of COVID. And unfortunately, social media has become this mooring ground of populism in itself. It doesn't matter about what the facts are. It's just what makes me feel a bit more satisfied towards my virtue signaling to the world. But what you've done, and I think is absolutely incredible, is that you've cut all the fluff and you've showcased this is what's happening on the ground. This is what you need to be aware of, and this is what can be done to change that.
I think we need more people like the kind of work I'm doing, the more educated people from low background and
Yeah.
from other such, similar backgrounds, the people who can make a difference. It's time we need to stand for the farmers and the laborers. I think it's high time. You cannot make it little more late. You have to stand for them. They need, protection. They need assistance in every possible way. I think more people are required to represent them. Journalists who specializes in agricultural journalism, who highlights the issues. So
For
I think-
you, what's your biggest concern as a final thought? Is it the COVID crisis or is it the farming crisis that's in India? What is the biggest thing that weighs on your heart?
it's very difficult to decide which is more, detrimental to the country. I think the both are equally detrimental. The COVID is, a virus that will, kill everybody who ever reaches out to it. And this protest thing that is limited to this farmers only. I think what the government can do right now is, come and talk to the farmers. It's been 150 days. What more you want to see? What more drama you can expect? People are enduring the winters. They have endured the summer. And what more do you expect them to do? It's been 150 days. Come and finish it, buddy. You can, make it another laws. Come and sit with the people. Ask them about their advice.
But that same level of frustration that you have, is that also pointed then towards the cultural custodians of India? You've had Bollywood stars coming out for, against, I got no idea now anymore. It keeps on swinging. You've had sporting legends, those with platforms. These are the guys that used to sell advertising to you, to tell you to buy a certain watch or to have a certain brand. Is your frustration also felt out to them?
Actually, I'm not frustrated at all, to be honest. Initially I was frustrated, but now I understand there are two things. Either you place yourself first or you place your society first. I think they are more concerned about themselves. They are not concerned about the society. So you have to choose between the two things.
Yeah.
You can ensure your own growth, or you can, fight for the rights of the people. They have chosen money over.
There's not much to say from here. I think that was a very open, candid discussion, something that we need to know more about. Whether you are pro, anti, or whichever side of the equation you're on when it comes to politics, one thing we cannot underestimate is the need to live a strong human experience. I think something that should be able for every sentient being on this planet. I'd like to thank our dear guests for coming on and obviously risking a lot by sharing their story along these journeys. And if you'd like to find out more about their work, well, what we'll do is put a link on both our podcasting platforms as well as social media for you. Until next week, I hope all remains well. Take care for now.